Is Austin, Texas the best place to live on earth? I don't know. But according to Forbes magazine, it has been ranked the #1 city in the USA to live for the last 3 consecutive years. Make sure to watch this video all the way through because I'm going to be including interviews of clients that I have had that have moved to Austin from other states, and they have opinions and ideas to share as well. A couple of the reasons that Austin has been ranked the best place to live in the US is #1, the growth factor. It has become a hub for tech companies and new businesses. It's also very livable. Our weather is good, like it gets really hot during the summer, but that's only for a couple of months, and the rest of the year it's fairly mild.
For me, Austin is home. I absolutely love this place. I came here in 2008 and I just absolutely fell in love at first sight. I knew I wanted to live here, so I came to school here, and after I graduated, I just knew I wanted to put a ring on it, and that's when I decided to buy a home and stay here, and I got called away to San Francisco for work.
So tell me guys, what brought you in the first place to Austin?
Well, we actually had decided, I was retiring, and we actually decided on Texas, and we looked at 3 major markets. We looked at San Antonio because he's got family in San Antonio, and we looked at the Dallas-Fort Worth area, both Dallas and Fort Worth separately, and we also looked here in Austin. And we got on the plane on the way back, and we both looked at each other and almost at the same time said Austin.
So you mentioned a couple things about Austin that drew you initially. What is it that you like the best?
I absolutely love the dance scene here. I love to dance many different styles like salsa, West Coast, country, and so many other different variations. So I absolutely love the dance scene.
The culture here, it's the music. I've always wanted to go to South by Southwest. I've always wanted to participate in a number of the musical events here, and we haven't really been to a big one, but we've been to some small live events and have really enjoyed it.
One of the other things that makes Austin so livable too is that we have all these wonderful outdoor activity options that we can do. For instance, downtown, we've got Lady Bird Lake, which is excellent for runners. It's really good to go for walks. We see plenty of cyclists there. And then at the same Lady Bird Lake, you can do kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. They've got canoeing. If you go a little bit further west to Lake Travis, you can hop on a boat. You can do some tubing. If you go south to San Marcos, you can float the lazy river. Also in an intertube. There's just a lot of different outdoor options.
I absolutely love the nature around here. We have so many like greenbelt hiking trails. I can go kayaking, paddleboarding. I can go float the river if I want to. So there's just so many beautiful regions around town. There's always something fun to do every single day of the week.
We like the houses, we like the people, we like the view, we like that it's so close to Lake Travis, and the area, the Bee Cave area with all of the restaurants, Hamilton Pool, and it's a shortcut to get to San Antonio from here, and there's a lot we like about it. And in fact, if you ask me what we don't like, we haven't found that yet.
I gotta say, the one thing I dislike about Austin is the traffic. So over the years, I've seen like just a growth in the city that I could tell the city wasn't really prepared for. So I know that the infrastructure was planned so that Austin would get to about 500,000 people.
There's a lot of people that have been in Austin for 20, 30 years that came here when it was kind of this hippie, earthy, quirky, very weird, funky little town. And that's what they came for, and that's what they want it to be. So there are a lot of people that don't like that it's growing, because a lot of times that growth means that like the smaller, quirky mom and pop shops go away. So because of all of that growth and all the new people here, of course, the population is growing. And also I think probably some of the culture has changed a little bit. I've personally always thought Austin was very friendly. And I do continue to feel that way about Austin. It's pretty normal to walk down the street and just like randomly wave at someone and they'll like wave back and say hi. You can be at the grocery store in the checkout line and you can literally just talk to the person behind you or like in front of you and like it's not a big deal. People are very, very friendly. That's one thing that has not changed. However, I think a lot of times Austin has this image of being like this really quirky, funky little town and like I said before, earthy and kind of hippie, and that's just not the case anymore. There's a lot of parts of Austin that have changed a ton in the last, gosh, I'll say even the last 5 years.
It's booming, it's growing, it's exciting all around, but I still get this feeling like it's a small town because all the people that you meet, they're just extremely kind and generous. And, you know, I was able to meet somebody that was like, hi, nice to meet you. Here are some directions. If you want, I can take you, or you can come over and stay at my house. It's a lot of Southern hospitality here that I just wasn't used to.
Comparing it to San Francisco, I guess, what is Austin like for you?
So gas here is $2 and something. Gas in the San Francisco Bay Area is like almost $5 per gallon. If you just wanted to have a good time in San Francisco, you would have to pay $60 to park your car. I love watching Broadway shows. Like one example would be if you wanted to go watch the Harry Potter Broadway shows, it's at least $500 to go see them in San Francisco, where you can get tickets here in Austin for less than $200. So just the cost of living was really high there, and then what it offered just wasn't as great as everything that Austin has to offer.
So when Richard and Jorge moved here, Richard had just retired. So tell us, I mean, it was a big difference, a full like 180 really from living in Jersey, commuting to Newark, and then moving to Texas to your retirement home. Tell us more about that. Like what's been different for you? What are a couple things in your routine that have changed?
Obviously, I was going into work most of the time by train, commuting into the city. One of the things too I want to emphasize is the diversity in New Jersey, and I was so afraid of losing some of that. And when we got here, we were surprised that it is a very diverse community.
Please make sure to subscribe and like my video. Part of the reason that Austin is such a good place to start a business and that it's becoming a big tech hub is because we have no income tax. So it's very friendly to businesses that want to grow or that are already thriving, because obviously it helps them save a lot of money. It's very business friendly, financially speaking. There's a lot of opportunity for people that want to come find it. So all of that to say that Austin is growing, right? Which is really good. And there's parts of it that are wonderful because the city is doing really well. There were lots of spots that were very like mom and pop owned, smaller businesses with lots of character to them that became kind of like local favorite spots that are no longer here.
The fact that this city had so much growth in such a short period of time just really overwhelmed the infrastructure and maybe even some of the living situation for many folks coming in. So that kind of drove some of that, real estate market boom that we've seen recently with, people not being able to find a home and then overbidding, or apartment complexes raising rent to the point where it's getting a little bit harder and harder to keep up with.
In your opinion, what has changed the most about Austin?
When I first got here, it had more of a small town feel and more of like a mom and pop shop, mom and pop restaurant, maybe losing a little bit of what makes Austin Austin. So when I first got here, it was like really big on keep Austin weird, and it just really felt very informal. And as time goes on, I just see this big movement towards like tech companies and a lot of people wanting to do business here and just making Austin a little less artsy and just a little bit more commercial looking and industrial.
And you're right, there was a very much like hippie kind of like ma and pa feel to everything, and that's largely been pushed out. You went to South Congress, obviously, as a college student. You remember what that was like, and it was so quirky, right?
Yeah, I do remember. So South Congress has like Losing in Disguise and all of these really fun Austin places that were obviously older. I recently walked over South Congress and noticed that maybe there's a lot of businesses missing.
They're all gone.
They're gone.
They're gone, and there's like a Nike store there.
There's a Nike store, and there's maybe other kind of like buildings that are just really modern looking, very cookie cutter architecture. And I was thinking, what happened to the Austin feel? The Austin feel of the city. And we also saw that downtown when they got rid of some of the places that would push the Austin culture. Like we had a dance place downtown. That entire building that actually hosted a lot of different Austin businesses got torn down so they could build the JW Marriott.
So the thing about the Copa was actually kind of sad is that like it was such a cute historical building. It had like brick arches inside and like big pillars, and you go on the second story and it was like old gnarly wooden floors and like big huge industrial windows, and it was so cultural and so cool. And you're right, there were so many events that happened there. And though like this growth is welcome and it's great, like it is kind of sad that they tore something like that down.
It is sad that they're tearing some of kind of like what makes Austin Austin. I kind of wish that as we welcome some of that growth, if we were to maybe have new buildings that incorporate,
Like restore some of the older stuff.
restore some of the older stuff, or just incorporate a little bit of what makes Austin Austin. Like it's wacky.
So wacky.
There's different colors and there's things that don't make sense, but that's okay. And we love that.
That is mine and everybody's opinion on if Austin is the best place to live in the US. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in Central Texas, please feel free to reach out. You can reach me via call, text, email, or send me an Instagram DM. Whatever works for you. If you're thinking about making a move, I got you.